Let's go, guys. Welcome back to Hightop Baseball. Guys, nothing better than getting to hop on here and talk about beating up on little brother Florida State. Rough weekend. We talked about it versus High Point last weekend, man. And really good to see the boys come out and put it to another top 25 team in FSU like they did. So, really good stuff, guys. Hey, the last video was over an hour, so we're going to try to start condensing that a little bit. We got some new graphics we're going to go through today. Kind of try to simplify some things, maybe not walk through some game notes and stuff as long. So we'll see how it goes today. Going to try to shorten this one up for you a little bit. So before we dive into that, guys, hey, I did that giveaway last episode. I don't think I've heard from any of the three winners. So go ahead and make sure you jump into that last video if you were a winner. And I'll try to tag you guys in the comments on this one as well. But make sure you reach out, guys. I want to send you some of this high top merch. So let's get into it, man. Let's talk Florida State. All right, so let's start with the recap from Tuesday night versus Florida State, right? So we got some new graphics here. Recap of that game, right? Gators win 6-3. Both teams with 6 hits and no errors. During game notes, we'll talk about that pop-up down the left field line between Kendall and Lawson. Probably could have been scored an error. It wasn't, though. So, both teams 6 hits, no errors. Clean, I guess you could say clean baseball, right? The freebies were a little high. We'll talk about that a little later as well. But good win for the Gators, man, after coming off that High Point series loss over the weekend. Brennan Lawson continues to go on an absolute tear. He was 1 for 2 with a home run, 3 walks, and 6 hits for Florida, right? We had 9 total bases out of those hits. 4 of the 9 came from Brennan Lawson in 1 swing. So this kid just continues to be one of the best hitters in college baseball, and we're getting to watch it night in and night out. 1 cricket inning each for both teams, right? So we kind of watch those cricket inning numbers. If you can win the cricket inning battle, right, it's a good indication you're going to win the game, right? It's pretty obvious. If you score more runs, you get more cricket innings. So, right, FSU had 1, but only for 2 runs. So Florida was able to kind of stop the bleeding there a little bit. Florida had 5, right? We had that 1 big inning. A lot of good 2-out hits that inning as well. So our cricket inning was bigger, right, and it resulted in a win for us. Next note right here, right? Freshman hitters continue to come up clutch, man. Cash Strayer, I think it was only with 1 out, but really nice backside line drive for 2 RBIs. And then Jacob Kendall comes in and just battles, man. Great at bat. He gets a single through with 2 strikes on him, also 2 outs to bring in 2 as well. So 2 RBIs each for both of those freshmen in that 4th inning, right? They were 4 of the 5 RBIs we saw in that cricket inning. And then UF pitching, right? It's a weekday game, so you could technically call this a full bullpen game, right? You didn't see Liam, you didn't see Aiden, you didn't see Walls. So this is, Sanford starting, right? He's a bullpen guy. So you could call this a full bullpen game. We saw 18 strikeouts across all the guys, right? Barberry, 5 for 6, right? So that just means he faced 6 hitters. He struck out 5 of them. And then Reitner, right? Faced 5, struck out 5. Struck out every kid he faced. Barberry was 101 last night. Reitner's up there 100 a couple times. Just absolute flamethrowers. I think Soli's got 2 really solid closers this year. In these 2 guys right here, and it seems like they're finding their form early in the season, which we love to see. All right, let's jump over to some game notes. Right, this is going to be just kind of like talking points, things that I kind of pick out throughout the game. Got another good graphic for you guys here. And it starts with our leader, right? It starts with one of the best players in college baseball, Brennan Lawson. We've been talking about Brennan Lawson all season, right? Ever since we kind of launched this video, Brennan Lawson's been a big talking point. He's kind of been the centerpiece, right? The ceiling. We keep calling it that ceiling for this season, right? It's going to be Brennan Lawson playing shortstop, right? And Adrian over at Gator Diamond Pod had a really good segment on it. Make sure you guys go over there and check that out. Right? I don't want to talk too much about it, steal all his good info. That was good stuff. So go watch that video. But the ceiling for this Gator team is going to be Brennan Lawson playing shortstop. It's best for him. It's best for his future. It's what him and his agent want, right? It's going to get him the most money at the next level. It's best for our future, right? If we can get this kid to play shortstop, it raises the ceiling of our team. It kind of allows us to be flexible, like we've talked about, moving people around the bases and kind of putting people in different positions. So overall, right, Brennan Lawson playing shortstop is best both for Gator baseball, for the fans, and for him personally. So enough of this. Let's move Brennan to first, move him to third. Right? Enough of that. Right, where Soli's going to give him a long leash. Right, this kid's going to have a long leash to prove he can play shortstop. And if we're going to get a move like some of these fans online have maybe been calling for, right, it's going to get a lot uglier than it's been so far. So let's go ahead and buckle in, man. Brennan Lawson's our shortstop, right? He's going to be our shortstop moving forward in the long haul, right? We need to get behind this kid. It's absolutely what's best for all parties involved here, but But importantly, right, we're here talking about Gator baseball, man. This is absolutely what's best for the program moving forward. We want this kid to only ever wear orange and blue his entire college career. We want him to be a 1-1 draft pick next year, and that's going to be at shortstop. So this kid's just absolutely unreal. And hey, just to remind you guys, man, right, the glove might not be a plus glove at short, right? But when he's giving us stuff like this right here, man, absolutely smoked. This kid is sat on an off speed, 2-2, right? 2-strike pitch. Look at the emotion. This was my favorite part about this out of Brendan on Tuesday night, man. He's normally pretty cool, calm, and collected, but you can tell he was either pissed coming out of that High Point series. He's fired up playing Florida State, man. The emotion on this kid, I love to see this. That's a kid who's having fun playing baseball, man. And I think the best part about this, right, out of Brendan Lawson we've seen so far is the hitting for power. Right, he had 10 home runs. I think I posted last week. He had 10 home runs on 220 plus at bats all of last season. The kid's got 9 on like 60 at bats. We haven't even started conference play, and he's already hit 9 this year. So you can see he's kind of filling out into that body. He's only a sophomore, right? Still a very young kid, but the power has absolutely showed up this year for Brendan. All right, jump into the next note. DBR by Ethan Serwick, right? This was bottom of the first. DBR stands for Dirt Ball Read, right? It's going to be one of our teaching moments right here. We'll go ahead and pull up a video I found of it on the internet over on X, but you can see here, right? Dirt Ball Read is just when you can kind of see when you're on first, right? You see that trajectory of that ball kind of dive straight out of that pitcher's arm. If you can read that, right? When you're on first, it's actually a kind of easy read. Second base, maybe not as much, but you can see that trajectory out of his arm. You know that ball's going to the dirt. You don't see a ton of it these days in college, especially pro ball, right? Because these catchers have gotten so good at picking these balls and throwing you out at second. But, right, I think college, we should be doing this more, especially on balls like this. This pitcher buries this one. Let's back it up. Right, this pitcher buries this one. You can see Ethan jumps immediately. And it almost surprises the catcher, right? Because he double clutches, right? You got to make sure you get a hold of the ball, and then he sails it. Right? So just this was absolutely a game note that I wanted to put and talk to you guys, man. A good teaching moment. Teach your kids DBRs. This will take you extra bases, right? 2 outs. This gets us a guy in scoring position here. Really, really good stuff out of Ethan. All right, jumping to the next note, right? It's going to be another video we've got for you guys. Execution on the back pick in the rundown. There's another one I found a video on online for us, right? So a lot of moving parts here we're going to talk about. So Sandifer, right? You can see here, watch the runner, right? He takes off like he's stealing, right? So this is just good on Bowen, man. We keep shouting this guy out for blocking balls behind the plate. He's throwing runners out, trying to steal. The fact that Bowen can kind of pick up on this kid not running and back picks him at first. There was a fake steal. So he back picks the kid at first. Now here, watch Sandifer. Watch the hustle out of Russell Sandifer here. Busts it over to first base. That has to be noted, right? Absolutely has to be noted. This guy gets back to first if Russell doesn't hustle over to first like this. All right, so Russell hustles over to first, right? Serwick here, I think he does a really good job of getting it out early, right? When you're on a rundown between first and second, if you're going to have a close bang play, you want that to be at first, right? Worst case scenario, you want the guy safe on the bag he was already at. You don't want to do a bang play at second, potentially let him get a free base. So Serwick gets it out early, right? You get it out early. This one, you can already tell they've established a throwing lane on that outside, right? So another big part of these rundowns is making sure you establish your lane as both the thrower and the receiver. So Nato receives this ball, right? And he does a really good job of just running at him hard, right? Another big thing you want to have here is you want to see the runner's numbers on his back, right? You don't want him kind of shuffling, and you want to make him turn and run back to that bag. So he does a really good job here. You can see makes the guy turn right there. Immediately makes the guy turn his back. And then Sandifer's there. Man, if he doesn't hustle over to first base, this guy's back safe easily, right? And Sandifer does a good job catching, putting the tag on. Just an overall really, really well executed play by these guys. You know, we've been talking a lot about defense so far this year, and I think these are one of those plays, man. You can tell they worked on it. You can tell these kids have really practiced at this, and we got to shout it out, man. Really, really good execution on the back pick by Bowen and then the rundown by all the guys in the infield. All right, we had to highlight the good defensive play before we jump to another bad one, right? So number 4 here on the game notes, another defensive miscue on a pop-up. It's once again out there between the left field and the shortstop. And we got another video here on Twitter for you guys, right? So we'll throw it up here. It's a righty, right? So we'll take a look here at where Lawson's playing when this ball gets up in the air. Right, so he's kind of even shifted a little, maybe double play depth, right? You got the guy on first, so 1 out. You are in double play depth, 2 strikes. You can see Kendall pretty deep out there in the left field because it's a righty up. So, I mean, kind of just a no man betweener. It's a really tough play. What I love here is seeing Brennan Lawson bust, right? Once again, we kind of highlighted it in that Stetson series. He had a pop up here where he just probably didn't hustle as well as he should have. I think we've seen it 2 or 3 times now where this kid just turns around and hustles. All right, so I love to see this here. Brendan comes a long way to get this ball. The problem here is Kendall. Man, look, Kendall's right there. And I know he's a freshman. I know Brendan Lawson's probably calling for it. Right, I wasn't there. I'm not sure what the communication was, but this is a ball that Jacob Kendall absolutely has to be screaming his head off. Get Brendan Lawson out of the way. You're coming in. Lawson's going back. This is a much easier play for the left fielder. And Kendall just unfortunately lets Brendan Lawson kind of take it here, and it drops. Right, and we keep talking about the confidence that we want to get Lawson at shortstop. Right, and he had a couple dropped pop-ups last year. Right, it's that Adrian video I'm telling you guys to go watch on Lawson. He kind of talked about how Lawson dealt with the yips a little bit last year. Right, he's dropping pop-ups, he's not making plays. These are ones where, hey, come on, let's get that out of Lawson's head. Go take that ball from him. That's not his ball. Kendall's got to go get that pop-up. And I know Sully's telling them today. They're probably watching film, whatever. Sully's going to get on him, and Kendall's going to be better moving forward. Right, it's an easy fix. Just go be confident, right? I don't care if you're a freshman. You're out there in left field. You're starting for the Gators. Just go out there and go make that play, which we know you can do. Right, and we saw it. We saw Sully in his post game last night after FSU kind of talk about. Right, he said that ball to left. We need to do a better job on that. They're going to have to keep working on it. Our outfielders have to realize they need to be more aggressive on those. That is absolutely their ball. Right, so Sully understands it. They're working on it. You got some young guys out there, right? I know it's been Sear the past couple of times, but Kendall's a freshman. He's playing super deep. I know the wind was swirling a little bit last night. So definitely a spot where they'll be better at moving forward. And then our bullpen, like we talked about, last night was kind of a bullpen game with Sanford being the kind of an opener starter type stuff, right? Bullpen's looking elite, right? And we're seeing the Barberry, ELC, Reitner, just absolute lights out stuff, righty gas to some lefty with some nasty movement, right back to righty gas. I mean, that was a really fun 1-2-3 punch we saw on Tuesday night at FSU. And Sully even talked about it a little bit last night in his press conference, right? He said, outside of Sanford, right, who warmed up, right? So you have a little bit more of a warm-up routine when you're the starter versus a guy coming in out of the bullpen, right? Everyone else kept their pitch count down, right? So we're expecting all of the guys that threw last night, outside of maybe Sanford, maybe you don't see him till a Sunday. Everyone else is good to go for the weekend. Pitch count stayed down, didn't run to anyone too long last night. And then on his bullpen options, right? I think Sully was saying he's looking really good there. He said Luke is close, right? Sandifer still really hasn't hit his stride yet, not throwing as many strikes. We saw that against FSU. He's got to throw a couple more strikes, but they'll get him right. Sully's not worried about that. And it just worked out as planned, right? Last night, I think they wanted to throw a bunch of guys. They wanted to keep pitch counts down so that they're fully loaded going into South Carolina. It just worked out for them, right? And Sully even made a comment. It doesn't always work out like that when you go in with a game plan, but fortunately it did, man. So I think we're fully loaded in that pen heading into South Carolina this weekend. All right, we'll jump over to our advanced metrics. We got some new graphics for you on this one as well, guys. And just trying to condense these shows down a little bit. We're going to start doing game recaps, game notes, and then what we call winning baseball. Right, so these are the two metrics we've been reading a lot already into this season: quality at bats and the freebie battle. But this is basically winning baseball. Did we have our QABs for a game over 500 plus? Right, we had talked about only 2 games this year we've had under 500. The bats have been pretty solid. And then the freebie battle, right? Did we win the freebie battle? Just basically means you had less freebies than your opponent. So versus FSU last night, we had a 564 QAB, and we won our freebie battle 8-13. 2 very good metrics for winning baseball, and obviously, like you saw, man, it resulted in a 6-3 win. And then staying on those QABs and freebies, we'll dive just quickly into the game QABs from last night. Everyone over or at or over 500 outside of Serwick, right, who was 2 for 5, couple good at bats there, but Kyle Jones 3 for 5, Brendan Lawson 4 for 5, Bowen 3 for 4. So still seeing some really good at bats out of him, despite the slump we saw over the last weekend or so. But still some really good at bats. And then Strayer, Schwartz, and Kendall, all the freshmen were all at 500. Just really good baseball. Stripling and NATO 2 for 4 as well. So really good on the QABs last night. And then jumping over to freebies. Right, so we are now 15-3. We've won the freebie battle 12 times. Those 12 freebie battle wins have turned into 12 wins in the game. We've lost the freebie battle 4 times. We've actually won one of those games, but lost the other 3. Then we've tied the freebie battle twice. We've won both of those games. So again, right, if you're losing the freebie battle, you're probably going to lose the game. If you can just tie or win the freebie battle, man, you're giving yourself a good shot at winning the game. And then I'll go ahead and drop the overlay here, right? QAB percentage on games we've won this year, 583. On games we've lost, 445. It's kind of where that 500 threshold comes in for winning baseball. And then your freebie average. Games we've won, we're at 4.9. Games we've lost, we're at 10. Overall, right, all of our games were 5.8. So playing pretty good baseball, man. But you can see when that freebie number gets up, the losses are probably going to follow very quickly. All right, so let's wrap up, jump into our upcoming game this week, starting conference play, right? We got South Carolina coming into town this weekend. Just a quick little background, right, behind South Carolina. They were viewed coming into the season as a solid but not elite SEC contender, right? When you're talking SEC, you're talking the best baseball in the country, right? I think South Carolina was in that 30 range, low 30s ranked coming into the year, which is really solid. But when you're talking SEC, that's middle to back tier of it. Right, this team was viewed as a regional level club with some upside. Right, every SEC team's going to have good talent. So if you're playing good baseball at that time of the year, you always can make a run. But definitely not viewed as an upper tier, an SEC ball club, kind of like Florida was, or like a Tennessee or an LSU coming into this season. Pitching, right, they had two arms, kind of two relief transfer arms, and Gunther and Stone, that are two guys that we're probably going to get to see a little bit this weekend, right? And then I think a lot of their question marks on this team, right, is rotation consistency and bullpen reliability kind of behind that closer. Once you kind of establish that closer, who else is going to kind of be able to run out of the bullpen? Are they going to be consistent and successful? So the two big questions there, right? The pitching, can Florida kind of jump on them this weekend, or can they kind of keep us down? And then kind of how we can tamper their bats, right? Because their strengths on this team, power offense, right? They're expected to produce significant power. They got experience, right? Several returning hitters with some good stability, right? Kind of opposite of that pitching staff. So some pretty good experience there in the lineup. And then they just have SEC talent depth, right? Even with being outside of that kind of top 25, this roster still carries that high-end talent, that typical that you would see in the SEC. So really, really good ball club, right? We saw it with High Point. You can't take anyone lightly. But when you're playing SEC ball, you got to bring it every night, every single night, come ready to play. And then we'll just quickly jump into their stats we've seen so far for 26 out of them, right? So they are 12-6 on a one-game losing streak. They dropped one to Northern Kentucky. So they've had a couple questionable losses so far this year, which I know coming out of High Point, right? This Gator team's not taking anyone lightly, but you got to remember this is South Carolina. They're talented, but their record has definitely had some pretty weird question marks, right? They dropped one to Northern Kentucky, 3-2, low-scoring game, right? We talked about how good their offense we expect to be this year. Pitching did their job that game. You go down, they lost to Army 5-9. So pitching kind of let them down there a little bit. Then they lost the series to Clemson, low-scoring game, right? Scored 3 runs total across those two losses that weekend. Then they went on a nice little win streak, but then this week they dropped one to Citadel, right? So they're on a 3-8 loss to Citadel coming into the Gators this weekend, man. So they're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. They're going to be coming in ready to steal a series out of us. So batting average, right, they're hitting 283, ranked 104. So, I mean, compared to the kind of competition they've played, definitely not performing to the standard they expected coming into the season. 1.3 home runs per game, 2.5 doubles per game, slugging 498, on base percentage 376, scoring right around 6.3, right? So they're putting runs up. I guess their pitching is just really letting them down. And then scrolling down here to their individual leaders, right? Will Craddock's hitting 432. He scored 15 times. They have Logan Sutter, 5 bombs. Talmadge LaCroix, 15 RBIs. Patrick Evans, 3 stolen bases. That Gunther, right? Josh Gunther, one of those arms we talked about. He's thrown the most for them, 18.1 innings so far this year. Patrick Dudley with a 0 ERA. Brandon Stone, right? We talked about him. 2 wins, and then Alex Valentine, 4 saves so far this year. So right, a really good ball club, right? You got to expect good baseball when you see South Carolina, right? They've got some historic baseball teams. I know there were some protests outside of their baseball stadium, I think just a couple weeks ago, right? Coming off either that Clemson loss, or fans just really unhappy with what they've seen out of that team so far this season. So you got to expect they're coming in hungry, and the Gators got to absolutely be ready for it. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up today. Just want to start by apologizing. We had talked about doing that live watch party for FSU last night. I unfortunately have 3 kids, and every single one of them got this stomach bug, stomach flu, whatever's going around. It's been absolute chaos in my house the last couple nights. So really apologize for having to cancel that one, guys. But we will absolutely do that again soon. I kind of want to maybe stream every FSU game, any of those weekdays or maybe Friday nights, right? I'll definitely get a schedule going. So definitely something I want to do moving forward. And then I talked to you guys about the cruise I was going on this weekend, right? This stomach bug unfortunately forced us to cancel that cruise as well. So I will probably get to watch some good South Carolina baseball this weekend. I'll have a video back out Monday for you guys talking about it. We'll do these shortened, maybe a little bit quicker recaps. I think we've been talking a little bit too long, right? I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out how to do this, man. I love to talk baseball. I'll sit here and ramble all day. So maybe we'll save that for the live watch parties when I've got 2 or 3 hours to sit with you guys. But hey, really appreciate you guys' support, man. Make sure you're subscribed to Hightop Baseball. Make sure you're sharing it with your friends. Make sure you're commenting, right? Go follow me on Florida Sports Takes on Twitter. Love to communicate with you guys there. Love to talk to you guys in the comments of the YouTube, man. Really appreciate you guys. As always, man, God bless and go Gators.